Dadri da da da. Dadri da da da. Dadri da da da.
Hello and welcome to Shuffling Notes. So I just wanted to discuss, this side of music, or like sort of explore this side of music, which is how Western music and the classical rags of Indian music can be actually put together, and they have been in the past.
Yeah, I think like the fusion of this like Indian classical kind of rags and the Western music, which is more kind of like harmony based. It has kind of, I think it's created some interesting case studies and sort of quite influenced a lot of the music, especially I think say probably 60s, 70s onwards.
That's true, and even the rags are not just the scales, and they're also associated with sort of emotions, and it's the times of the day and even seasons. And for instance, Rag Bhairavi is often played in the morning, like I do play it, and it's just the Rag Marwa is the evening. So they're just divided like that.
Yeah, no, that is quite fascinating. I think it's there's a lot of, I'd say, Indian culture also ingrained in the concept of rag and how music is sort of listened to and played. I think, like I was saying, the 60s and 70s was quite a significant era, I think, in this sort of cultural exchange, if you want to call it that. I think the Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's, it featured sort of this track, Within You, Without You, which is like, it's got that sort of rag kind of inspired music in it.
I mean, now that you only brought it up, there's the very legendary player Ravi Shankar, Pandit Ravi Shankar, who taught George Harrison the sitar. So there is a lot of influence of the sitar in a lot of Beatles songs, actually. Even, but I think there's Across the Universe. There's one song which actually they wrote in India itself.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even I think jazz music and musicians like John Coltrane were sort of influenced and inspired. By some of the sort of sitar and again rag and all of that sort of Indian sort of classical music. I think he named his son Ravi as well, in honor of Pandit Ravi Shankar. I think his son's a bassist actually, so keeping it in the family, the music. But there's definitely a lot of influences. Yeah.
Well, so is Ravi Shankar's daughter, Anushka Shankar. So she's kind of doing the same thing, but I mean with the new music today. Although she plays the sitar, but then she fuses it with a lot of sounds to it. And even artists like Nora Jones, who is Ravi Shankar's daughter, like the other daughter, is she like blends these melodic structures into it creates a bridge in genres and even generations, because she also uses the notes that Ravi Shankar used to use.
Yeah. In fact, there's this genre, I won't call it a genre, but like category of music that's called Raga Rock. And it's basically like a bunch of these like rock songs that were kind of inspired by like rags. So like, I mean, Rolling Stones have some of these tracks, like Paint in Black famously as well, was influenced by rag. But yeah, it's interesting how like it's kind of molded. I don't know if a lot of people listening to that music would know about it because it's kind of more in the back end. It's kind of fascinating how it's kind of made its way through even rock, which is like very, you would imagine it's like the opposite of Indian classical music in certain senses, but obviously you can kind of blend the two together to create something unique.
That's true, and even that's newer art, newer music artists, which is electronic music. So there are artists like Tech Panda and there is Malfunction. Like they sort of they properly use the Indian classics into their song, which I think makes this song stand out, uh, at least for me. And it just adds a twist to, something. For example, rags are something that you can relate to instantly because music has the same, flow of notes. And the songs that you listen to, these new age electronic music, even that connecting back to the roots, it's just, I mean, and for me, it just makes it fascinating.
Yeah, no, agreed. I know even Caroline Polachek. I really like some of her music, and some of her tracks definitely feel like there's a level of kind of inspiration or fusion of some of the Indian sort of classical tones combined. I think there's I can't remember the name. Is it like Her Big Eyes? There's like a track, something like that, and it's very kind of feels very influenced by sort of Indian and Asian music in general. So it is, I think it's fascinating to kind of see how music from almost opposite sides of the world can kind of come together and blend in and really create something unique.
And one, there's a real fun fact which I figured out while watching a documentary, which is on the Woodstock Festival. So it's, I think, the 68, 69. So in that, Pandit Ravi Shankar had gone to play his sitar, and there are those in the documentary. There are those scenes where Jimi Hendrix is also there, and Ravi Shankar is in the crowd, and Ravi Shankar is on the stage, and Jimi Hendrix is in the crowd, and that's just so fascinating because that's one of the performances where Jimi Hendrix is famous for burning his guitar and still playing it, and to be in front of an Indian guru of music and he to get inspired into with the music of Jimi Hendrix as well is it's it's beyond breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. I mean, I think Woodstock was probably like a huge significant milestone in sort of the fusion of these songs. But you were just telling me, it reminded me. I don't know if it was at the same time, but I know that there was I remember reading about this. I think the Who were performing live, and they smash up their instruments, or they used to at least at the end of the performance. And I think in one of those performances they were doing that, and I think Pandit Ravi Shankar was there, and he actually got offended and he left. If I remember the story correctly, because I can imagine, I think again, if you think about bringing Indian classical music in touch with, at that time, that Western kind of rock, the rage that comes with it, is such an unlikely combination. I wouldn't be surprised if you end up ruffling a few feathers.
Yeah, true.
But when it did come together, it was pretty amazing.
I mean, it's both sides actually. So it's the rags are very essential tunes, while they are very innocent, if I would say. And the other side, rock, which is inspired, like a lot of rock, classic rock especially, is inspired by the rags, and there was that entire movement together of music bringing peace, and the Beatles, the Jimi Hendrix, even the Doors at a point. For example, Robbie Krieger, the end guitar is actually him trying to play the sitar on the guitar.
Right.
So, so that just, I mean, it adds up very. It's a very odd combination, but it makes a lot of music sense.
Yeah. No, it is quite fantastic seeing these things. So I think that probably sums up our thoughts, right? So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Let us know if you've got any interesting or crazy examples of Indian classical music being fused with Western music, or any other sort of cultural fusions of music that you want to point out to us. Just drop it below in the comments. So until next time, see you, Rezi.
See you. Cheers.
Let's start at the very beginning. Do, re, mi. Do, re, mi. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti.